a guy who you know well, and Swain, I think a guy you got to get back here this upcoming year. Chris, is that right?
This guy has never looked better than when I sent that Florida pullover down to him, man. It fit him very well. Swain, I mean, any chance we can get you over on the orange and blue side?
FCC rules, Swain. Don't
Okay.
We're live online, but also on the radio still.
All right, thanks for the reminder. Thanks for the reminder, Josh. Appreciate you having my back.
Yeah.
We are running the bet back, Chris.
Of course we are.
Yeah, we got to run it back. We got to run it back.
This. Like, if you don't bet on your alma mater, everybody asks me, like, why do you keep betting Peter Burns? You lose every year. I'm like, I'm going to continue to. I'm a Florida guy. I'm going to take my team. Swain, even though you lost, I wouldn't expect anything less. But what a different year it is with Florida having to go to Knoxville. It's I'm high on this Tennessee team. I've been talking all week long about I expect Tennessee to win 10 games, and I think the schedule sets up really well for y'all. But it's a grind running through that SEC schedule, as we all know. But I do think that the schedule is favorable for Tennessee if you look at it.
Chris, everybody's feeling good about their team at this stage of the game, except for maybe Vanderbilt or some of those teams like that. But, like, everybody's feeling good. What's the biggest question, the biggest concern you have with Tennessee? I know you said 10 wins, but there has to be some concern that you have that you're waiting for those questions to be answered early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for Tennessee's Pro Day and got a chance to watch the first scrimmage of the spring in Neyland Stadium, and really impressed with the group of receivers that they've surrounded Nico Iamaleava with. I do have Nico. I'm really high on him. The way that the ball comes out, the way that he seems to have a good feel for the offense. But he is a first-year starter, so that to me is like, hey, you're going to have some inevitable growing pains. You're going to have some moments where you don't look like the seasoned veteran. I think all of us we've been talking about Nico for several years now, but he's still a pretty young guy in terms of his maturation on the football field. So that's the thing I have is, like, how quickly can he get up to speed to be what we all believe he can be?
Chris Doering is with us, ESPN SEC Network analyst. You mentioned the wide receivers that will try to help Nico. What do you like about them? That's a group that we've discussed has a lot of potential, still has to prove what it can do. What do you see?
I can't wait to see Brew McCoy back, man. I mean, it was a tough injury last year, and getting a chance to talk to him when I was there in the spring, you could see that he was really antsy to get back out. And as a guy that was injured, I tore my Achilles in the NFL, and once you're away from it, man, it creates a sense of urgency to get back out there and an appreciation. So I'm excited about his season. But I think they have a unique blend of different skills. You got some length, you got some quickness, you got some guys that I think have to help out their quarterback more. I thought, as much as we talk about Joe Milton being inconsistent, the receivers really hurt Tennessee's offense last year with the drops and some of the mistakes that they made. So I feel like this group is going to be in a much better cumulative position than they were last year.
How important is it to have a toolbox of different tools in the wide receiver room, not everyone doing the same thing? How important is that to an offense?
Isn't that funny, though? I think there's a lot of teams that have a type of receiver they want to go draft. I've always, thought about why not draft, sign, recruit, whatever level you're playing. But, like, why would you not want to have a bunch of different guys? I think back to my time at Florida. I was probably the longer guy, didn't have the speed that some of the guys did, but we had a Jaquez Green who was kind of the opposite in terms of his size and shiftiness. You had Riedel and Ike, Travis McGriff. There's just a bunch of different kind of guys in that receiver room that could do a number of different things. But I think in today's offense, you're seeing primarily 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. So you got to have a lot of guys out there that you trust. And you have to have guys that can play inside and outside. The days of just being an outside guy or an inside guy only are kind of gone. So while you do have to have diversity of skill sets, I think you have to have guys that are also very versatile in what they're able to do to be moved around. And I go back to Devontae Smith when he was at Alabama. They used him in so many different ways, and I think that's what playing receiver is about nowadays in today's offensive football.
We're talking to ESPN SEC Network analyst Chris Doering, former Florida wide receiver, mentioning your alma mater at the start of the conversation. Mm-hmm. That schedule, I don't know that I've seen anything like it. It is brutal. They still have talent there. What do you see with the Gators, how they have to get out of the gates, and then what might happen this season?
You mentioned getting out of the gates. I think it's the most important opening game on Florida's schedule since I've been around the program, as a fan growing up, as a player, as a guy covering it in the media. This is a massive game for both programs. I honestly believe that Mario Cristobal is in a kind of a similar situation as Billy Napier, where the fans were a little restless, and the winner of this game is going to take some pressure off. The loser is going to find themselves squarely in the sights of their fan base. But I think the thing I like about Coach Napier, and I did their spring game, he's kind of embracing the schedule. Like, there's some guys that would, it's going to be tough. I don't know what we can do. He's like, let's go play, man. Competitors want to play the best teams. Competitors want to see how they measure up. And he made a good point. Like, we play a tough schedule every year. So instead of going to Utah to open against a top 10 team last year, you get Miami at home in the Swamp. Instead of going to Baton Rouge to play an LSU team that has a Heisman-winning quarterback and 2 first-round receivers, those guys are gone and they come to Gainesville. Instead of going to Lexington, you get Kentucky coming at home. Instead of playing Florida State with Jordan Travis, you got a new starter in Tallahassee. So there's, as much as you look at how difficult it is by the logo and the name reputation, I think as you look at it a little deeper, it's maybe a little less challenging. And I think Florida's kind of laying in the weeds right now. I think they surprised some people. I honestly believe that they're more like a 7-win team than the 4.5-win team that Vegas has them set at.
I remember seeing the Florida State pre-game meetings at the 50-yard line during warm-ups. Miami's known for doing some of that stuff too. Take us through kind of what that Miami-Florida rivalry is in that state.
You know what, Swain, I didn't get a chance to ever play against Miami, but both of my parents are from Miami. We grew up going down there a lot. I went to all the Florida home games. I went to the Orange Bowl to watch Florida play against the Canes down there multiple different times. It's one of my biggest regrets as a Florida player was that I never got a chance to play against Miami. This year, you get the real round robin. Not only do you play Miami in addition to Florida State, you got UCF on the schedule. So that's the way the state should schedule. You should have to play the other big schools in your state. So I think that even though there's not a lot of familiarity, there is a lot of disdain, particularly amongst older Florida fans and older Miami fans that remember how heated that rivalry used to be.
Chris Doering, ESPN, the SEC Network. We always appreciate the time. I'm going to tell you, Swain needs this one. So I know you're rooting for Florida in the bet against Swain, but I saw the look on his face last year when he lost the wager. He needs this one.
I tell you what, it's fun to win, but I know how it feels to have to pay up and wear those other colors from an opposing rival school, and I felt for him a little bit, a little bit.
Swain, have you ordered his shirt or whatever you're going to end up going with? Yeah, you're going to wait.
Oh, I will. I'll be ordering, sending his way. It'll be orange. It won't be black or smoky gray or white. It's going to be orange like the one I got on right now.
The gambling gods do not like cockiness, Swain, all right? Don't get too far ahead of yourself, all right?
Hey, I said Tennessee baseball was going to win the World Series, and look what happened. So
I'll say this, though. That was a fun team. I don't care if you were a Florida fan or a Georgia fan. I think everybody was kind of getting behind what Tennessee was doing this year. And Tony Vitello's a great coach. I don't care about what sport, man. He seems to be able to really connect with the players. So it was a fun year.
Yep, you're right. Hey, Chris, we always appreciate the
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
See
it.
you. Thanks,
See you,
Chris.